Floria, Floria, allez, 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 allez. Allez, allez, Floria, encore.
There's a reason we can't take our eyes off a great race. It's not just about speed, it's about grit, timing, and heart. It's about the moments where everything changes, not at the start, but in those final, desperate strides to the finish line. In the world of athletics, few things are more thrilling than a comeback. When an athlete looks beaten, too far behind, out of the picture, and then somehow, from nowhere, finds that extra gear. The crowd rises, the noise builds, and for a few breathtaking seconds it feels like time stands still. These are the moments that define the sport. Not just who won, but how. The fight, the fire, the finish. Today, we're counting down some of the greatest comebacks ever seen on the track. The 800-meter final at the 1989 World Indoor Championships in Budapest, Hungary, became the stage for one of the most remarkable comebacks in indoor track history. And the star of this unforgettable showdown was legendary 800-meter runner Paul Ereng. He embarked on his athletic journey as a promising 400-meter runner until late 1987, when he decided to specialize in the 800-meter. He quickly found his stride in the new event, remaining undefeated throughout the U.S. outdoor season in early 1988. The first glimpse of Ereng's signature from-the-back strategy emerged during the 1988 Olympics, where he began mastering his ability to surge past competitors in the final stages of the race. Ereng arrived in Seoul largely considered an outsider. His chances of earning a medal were nearly non-existent. But perceptions began to shift after he won the semi-final with a personal best of 1 minute, 44.55 seconds. The final became a defining moment. For much of the first half of the race, he positioned himself in 8th place. Yet, as the runners entered the final straight, Ereng unleashed a powerful, decisive surge and claimed the gold medal in a new personal best of 1 minute 43.45 seconds. But the comeback that truly stands out happened at the IAAF World Indoor Championships. The men's 800-meter final, scheduled for March 5th, was highly anticipated, with a strong field vying for the world title. By the time he arrived in Budapest, Ereng was no longer a complete unknown. His Olympic gold medal had firmly placed him on the world stage. Consistent with his established strategy, he allowed other runners to set the early pace, enabling him to conserve his energy for a powerful closing surge. As the race progressed into its critical final stages, Ereng unleashed what has been consistently described as a devastating finish.
The pace punishing. Red wine overtakes him. 600 meters in 1:17.98, and that is very fast. And Barbosa goes past Brown. And look at Ereng come now. Look at the Olympic champion. It's absolutely breathtaking. He's stormed up to Barbosa, and Ereng has gone past. Barbosa holds on. There are only 2 men in it. The Olympic champion and the defending champion. And that is a storming run. Look at the clock. 1:44.85. And Sebastian Coe's world record is gone.
This powerful acceleration allowed him to rapidly close the gap on the leading runners. His surge was decisive, propelling him past his competitors in the final meters of the race. He crossed the finish line in a remarkable time of 1 minute, 44.84 seconds. This victory was not merely a gold medal, it was a new world indoor record, firmly solidifying Ereng's place in athletics history. The 1985 World Cup in athletics represented a pinnacle event in the global track and field calendar. The stakes were exceptionally high, particularly for the men's overall team championship. As the final event, the men's 4x400-meter relay, the United States held a narrow 4-point lead over their formidable rivals, the Soviet Union. This race would become indelibly etched in athletics history, remembered not just for its astonishing conclusion, but for the layers of controversy and unexpected turns that unfolded. At the heart of this climactic showdown was Mike Franks, the American anchor leg runner, who clinched the individual men's 400-meter gold medal with a blistering time of 44.47 seconds. A performance that not only secured him the gold, but also established him as the fastest athlete in the world over 400 meters for that year. The American team began the relay with strong performances from its opening legs. Soon enough, the outcome seemed inevitable, and the overall World Cup trophy was within reach. But as Mike Franks waited on the inside lane for the baton, the race took an unforeseen turn. It was at this critical juncture that Vladimir Krylov of the Soviet Union executed an aggressive and unsportsmanlike maneuver.
All of that. And so, to the final leg, and Mike, in a terrible confusion there.
Krylov pushed in between Australia's Darren Clarke and Franks, attempting to gain an unfair advantage in the exchange zone. This illegal intervention triggered a chaotic chain reaction. Clarke, reacting instinctively to Krylov's push, shoved the Soviet runner with considerable force. This retaliatory shove caused Krylov to collide directly with Ray Armstead, who was in the midst of handing off the baton to Franks. Armstead, his momentum broken by the impact, stumbled dramatically onto the infield, just as he was about to complete the exchange. In a remarkable display of agility and quick thinking, Franks instinctively ran backwards to snatch the baton from his teammate. Now, instead of starting his anchor leg in first place, Franks found himself in a bewildering fourth position, facing an unexpected and formidable deficit. Displaying no hesitation, he immediately unleashed a powerful surge, transforming the despair of the moment into a focused pursuit. In the final 100 meters, Franks surged into third place, relentlessly gaining on the leaders.
That earlier incident, what a controversy, what a finish to this World Cup as the Africans are pushing back. But look at Franks, what a fantastic effort by Franks. Unbelievable run, unbelievable by Franks.
The United States secured a miraculous victory. Against all odds, and despite the earlier interference, Franks clocked an astonishing anchor leg split of 44.2 seconds. The Soviet Union was initially disqualified due to Vladimir Krylov's interference at the final exchange. However, in a decision that remains contentious, this disqualification was later reversed. But epic comebacks aren't just reserved for Olympic finals or packed stadiums. Sometimes they play out on a digital track, where it's just you, the blocks, and the chase for gold. Trackdown Genesis is a brand new sprinting video game, available now on Steam. It's not your usual button-mashing arcade sprint. This one actually tries to capture the rhythm and timing of real-world sprinting, and it's aiming to do something we haven't really seen done right before. Capture the intensity of sprinting in a game that's both fun and true to the sport. The devs have built a brand new sprinting system that mixes timing, rhythm, and control. It's challenging, but that's part of what makes it interesting. You can create and customize your own sprinters, enter them into competitions, and feel the tension of the start line through a completely new control system. It's designed to strike that sweet spot between fun and realism. Trackdown Genesis comes in at under $20, and for what it offers, that's a solid deal. You'll find links to the full trailer, their Steam page, and the community Discord down in the description. Now, back to the story. On February 1st, 1990, 14 men lined up at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland for the final of the men's 5,000 meters at the Commonwealth Games. All signs pointed to a Kenyan sweep. Moses Tanui, fresh off a silver medal in the 10,000 just days earlier, was already carving out a legendary career. Yobes Ondieki was the fastest man in the world the year before. And then there was John Ngugi, Olympic champion, four-time world cross-country title holder, and the undisputed favorite. Kenya looked untouchable. But as it turned out, the form charts meant nothing. Surprisingly, by the time the race ended, the gold medal would not go to a Kenyan, but to an Australian. 5 years earlier, Andrew Lloyd was involved in a terrible car crash that left him widowed and with severe injuries, seemingly ending any hope of returning to competitive running. But he didn't give up. 13 months later, he returned to racing. Evening fell over Mount Smart Stadium as the finalists for the men's 5,000 meters took their marks. In the middle of the pack, Olympic champion John Ngugi hit the ground.
Jack hasn't got a short finish. Well, oh goodness me. Well, I think that, talking about Jack Buckner, I think that was Jack who went over, and Ngugi, as you were talking.
In an instant, he sprang back up and, without hesitation, surged to the front. He scorched a 400-meter stretch in 58 seconds and took command. Behind him, the field stretched thin. Yobi's Ondieki sat in second until the unthinkable happened again.
I think is probably... Oh, Ondieki's down! Ondieki down. And Roland staggered.
The Kenyan tripped and fell, throwing the entire pack into chaos. Lloyd hurtled over him, brushing the infield. It was mayhem. Out front, Ngugi pushed on, untouched by the carnage behind him. A 61-second lap blew the race wide open, 20 meters clear. Williams and Roland chased, and then 5 seconds back came a group of 4, including Lloyd. Ngugi surged again at 3,200 meters, and the gap grew, with 2 laps to go. But behind him, the hunt was on. Lloyd, methodical and quiet, was beginning to roll. At the bell, Ngugi still led by 4.5 seconds, but his form was fraying. Down the backstretch, the crowd felt it. The lead was shrinking. Ngugi's head tilted, his stride shortened. And Lloyd, running on heart and history, refused to back down.
Ngugi has a look around. The gap has narrowed to about 6 or 7 metres. Lloyd takes off after Hamer and passes him. And now Andrew Lloyd takes off after the Olympic champion. Lloyd is bearing down on top of Ngugi. Ngugi digs deep, but he's got no more. And Andrew Lloyd wins the gold medal for Australia. Andrew Lloyd, whose performances in major events has been questioned previously, has stolen the 5,000 metres from the Olympic champion, John Ngugi.
With 15 meters to go, Lloyd surged past. He held on, stopped the clock at 13:24.86, a lifetime best. Gold for Australia. August 17, 2014, European Championships in Zurich. Let's talk about a comeback that's etched itself into track and field legend. This one doesn't just live in highlight reels, it lives in the goosebumps it gives people every time it's mentioned. It's one of those rare spine-tingling moments that reminds us why we love this sport. At the heart of it all is Floria Gueï, a 24-year-old sprinter from Western France. She wasn't exactly a household name at the time. Her personal best in the 400 meters was a decent 51.42. It's the final of the women's 4x400 meter relay. The French team lined up against powerhouses like the UK, Russia, and Ukraine, and going into the last leg, things weren't looking great. When Floria took the baton, France was sitting in 4th place, almost a full second behind the leaders. In a race this tight, it's a chasm. The baton pass was flawless, but even with that, the French team was still lagging behind as they round the bend. They clocked the 4th fastest split at 200 meters. Meanwhile, the top 3 were locked in a battle for the podium, completely unaware of the steady, relentless progress being made by Floria. She starts reeling them in, methodically, relentlessly. At this point, every athlete ahead of her had already posted faster times in the individual 400 meters earlier in the championship. But none of that mattered. Floria wasn't thinking about stats. She was focused, locked in, chasing the finish line like it was the only thing that existed. At the back straight, she's nearly 10 meters behind. By the time she hits the 200-meter mark, that gap has stretched to over 12 meters. It's the biggest deficit yet. But she doesn't back down. Coming out of the bend, she starts eating into that lead. She shifts into another gear, hitting speeds over 29 kilometers an hour, making her the fastest woman on the track in that moment. Even with just 30 meters left, she's still trailing by nearly 6 meters. But while the others start to fade, Floria is just getting stronger. Every stride looks smoother, more powerful. She surges past Russia, then Great Britain. And in the final 2 steps, she overtakes Ukraine right at the line. Floria didn't just win that race. She delivered one of the most electrifying finishes the sport has ever seen.
Toujours la possibilité pour Adéoyer alors que Floria donne tout ce qu'elle a, mais malheureusement, ce sera pas suffisant.
Ah, ça revient fort, elle revient fort. Ouais, mais la Britannique est en train de craquer.
Alors peut-être.
La Britannique est en train de craquer, Patrick.
Je pense que ça va être juste, mais elle va tout donner quand
Non,
même.
la Britannique a temporisé. Elle est en train de relancer.
Elle revient, elle va passer, elle va passer. Elle va passer,
C'est monstrueux.
C'est monstrueux.
Quelle ligne droite, quelle ligne droite.
Magnifique.
Mais il n'y a pas que la ligne droite, mais quel 400 mètres, quel 400 mètres.
Elles sont championnes d'Europe.
Elles sont championnes d'Europe.